Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity of Gainesville, to all of you here in the sanctuary and all of you who may be joining us on Facebook, on YouTube later. We're glad to have everyone here. So let's get things rolling with I Am Powered Up. So here is your intro, and why don't you stand and let's get the juices flowing here. I am powered up by the Holy Spirit. I am powered up by my faith in God. I am powered up to move all mountains by the grace of God. I am powered up by the Holy Spirit. I am powered up by my faith in God. I am powered up to move all mountains by the grace of God. I am powered up by the Holy Spirit. I am powered up by my faith in God. I am powered up to move all mountains by the grace of God. By the grace of God. By the grace of God.
Good morning, everyone. Morning. My name is Sherry Johnson, and I'll be your prayer chaplain for today. The daily word today is divine order. Declaring divine order restores my faith. Sometimes life feels like a jumble of challenges, overlaying, lapping, and competing for my attention. At these times, my human efforts seem no match for all that I face. I may not even know where to start. I began by declaring divine order to remind myself that wherever I am, God is. I do this not to make something happen, but rather to recognize the perfection underlying all things. Even when order feels beyond me, a distant force, moving stars and the planets, it also supports my life. Looking back, I recall times of confusion and despair, maybe even thinking my situation seems hopeless. Yet, it was always resolved, often in surprising ways. I remember those past experiences as I gratefully affirm divine order now. For everything, there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. Ecclesiastes 3:1. You can request prayer by going to the cell phone app store and downloading You Pray. Your prayer will be sent directly to Silent Unity, where it will be held in prayer for an additional 30 days. We also have a prayer team that would be happy to pray with you. Please leave your prayer request by either calling the church office and leaving a message or placing your prayer request in our prayer box. Following the church service, any prayer chaplain wearing a prayer stole will be happy to meet with you for individual prayer. Please join me in praying for those who have requested prayer during this sacred time in our service. You may speak their names now. All prayers, whether spoken or unspoken, are known by the divine. As we release this heartfelt request, we know and affirm that all is in divine order, and we say thank you. Amen.
Things that are happening in our day-to-day lives that we are still so blessed. And so let's affirm that with this wonderful Karen Drucker song, We're going to sing it 3 times. And here's your intro. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, Don. And good morning again. Welcome to everyone that's sitting here in the sanctuary this morning, and a special welcome to all those who are visiting with us or joining us via virtual world. We love you, and we are glad that you're with us today on this kind of soggy Labor Day weekend. So I'm really happy for the folks that braved the weather to come out. Thank you so much. So we're going to get started with the C word. Sounds kind of ominous, doesn't it? Almost as if we're not sure whether or not to say the whole word out loud because we're afraid of what will happen if we do. It's like one of those other words that we're familiar with, the F word. We're not talking about faith here. Now, today, many people tend to use this word, and they use it rather casually, and especially a lot of younger people. Then again, most of us here who have a certain amount of experience being what I call age amazing, probably were kind of afraid to use this word growing up, right? And we definitely did not use it in front of our parents, right? Because if we did, we knew what would happen. I remember I was 34 years old. I was living in Dallas, Texas. Something really sad happened in my life and tragic, and I was angry about it. And I called my mother in Kentucky, and we were talking. I was just upset, not with her. I was just venting to my mother, and I dropped the F-bomb. Oh, silence on the phone, right? And then I heard it. Danny Adrian Spears. The full name. She said, I don't care how old you are. I do not ever want to hear that word come out of your mouth again. Yes, ma'am. We're done. Yeah, it's kind of like Ralphie from that classic movie, The Christmas Story. Some of you have seen that. Ralphie says, the F word isn't just any dirty word. No, the F dash word was the queen mother of all the dirty words. Now, of course, Ralphie's dad in the movie, and probably some of our fathers growing up, used that word when we weren't around or when they thought we didn't hear them. That was a different time, though. This particular word, which used to strike fear and a certain amount of rebellion in the hearts of young people, again, is quite common. Or, I was talking to a young adult professional, recently, And we were talking about this word, and they said, Danny, what is the big deal? It's just a word. And that's true. Yet again, words do carry power, don't they? So let's return to our C word. What is it? What is the C word which strikes just about as much fear and rebellion in the hearts of people as the queen mother of all the dirty words used to? There are some, like commitment perhaps, but the word we're going to be looking at over the next few weeks is change. Change. We're going to be looking at change and transformation over the next few weeks. And a primary source here is going to be Reverend Robert Brumet's book, Finding Yourself in Transition, Using Life's Changes for Spiritual Awakening. I'll also be using some wisdom from Adam Markle's book, Change Proof, Leveraging the Power of Uncertainty to Build Long-Term Resilience. Going to throw in a little Tao Te Ching wisdom today, a little Buddhism. And starting next week, I'm going to be using some Bible because y'all know, if you know me, I do tend to use the Bible quite a bit. And our Bible story underlying this series is the journey of the children of Israel from Egypt to the Promised Land. So that's coming up. That's a lot of territory to cover. So let's get started. There are all kinds of quotes out there about change. We see them on Facebook if we're on Facebook, and we just see them all around. We hear them. Probably the most familiar, however, is from the philosopher Heraclitus. And his quote is, "The only constant is change." Say it with me. The only constant is change. Hold that thought. That's true, right? Easy example, our cell phones. You know, our cell phones now can do things that only those big, huge supercomputers could do not all that long ago. And I'll bet most of us sitting here, if we have a cell phone, haven't accessed its full potential. At least I know I haven't. What about COVID? How many times have we heard or even said ourselves, COVID has changed everything? Especially in that place I like to call church world. Now, this is one of those times where I tend to disagree with the majority opinion. See, I'm not so sure that it was COVID itself that changed everything, as much as it is that COVID just forced on us or encouraged us or brought to light a bunch of stuff that had been changing already. Some transitions that have been going on for a long time, and we just didn't want to talk about it. It forced us to look at these things a little more closely and to get more creative, perhaps to embrace these changes. Things like telework, more flexible work schedules, things like remote learning. In church world, we learned what we already knew a long time ago, but we're afraid to say out loud. Kind of like the F word. We're afraid to say out loud that fewer people are gathering in person in spiritual communities these days. And that was happening long before COVID. You remember some of us do back in the day when, you know, on Sunday morning, where were you? In church, right? Especially in the South. If it was 11 o'clock on Sunday morning, you were in church. And if you sat home and watched Rex Humbard and Maud Amy or Oral Roberts, you had a specific time that you watched them, and it was only because you were sick or couldn't get out. Otherwise, you were in the church. Not so much today. You know, and I agree that there are some valid concerns about technology enabling sort of a disconnect or a loss of personal communication or personal touch of working together in person or gathering in spiritual community in person. I agree with some of that. That happens, but consider this as well. I think some of the changes and improvements in technology have enabled businesses, schools, and yes, churches to broaden their reach, to make connection more possible, even if it isn't necessarily in person, right? Think about it. We have people with physical challenges, people who may suffer from social anxiety, people who, just have crazy work schedules. Life is just crazy. So they can't be with us and enjoy our fabulous energy here on Sunday morning at 11 o'clock. But because we live stream and we're on YouTube and we do Zoom, people who can't be here can at least have an option. And not just us. Back in the day, a lot of the church, church TV stuff was very conservative in nature, right? And that's fine. But now we have a wide variety of spiritual teachings available. Stuff that maybe, COVID forced us to get creative about to broaden our reach. So am I saying COVID is good? No, not at all. It was and still is quite destructive. But I also think COVID shined a glaring light on a lot of things. Things like the inequities in our healthcare system and access to healthcare, especially for the poor and minority communities. COVID has reminded us also of how important community and connection is. Don't take it for granted. It pushed us to be more creative in ways of creating community and making connection possible, even if it isn't in person. So out of this destructive thing we call COVID, we've had creation and opportunity at the same time. Weird, huh? But you might want to remember that Pablo Picasso said that all acts of creation begin with destruction. What do you do with something like that? What do you do with changes like that? So we got some tough lessons right off the bat in this series, right? Our response to change also depends upon whether we consider the change we're talking about, whether that is a positive thing or a negative thing. Think about the new voting laws in Georgia. Some people think those laws promote election integrity, while other people think it promotes voter suppression and discrimination against Black, brown, and poor voters. Some people think the recent overturning of Roe v. Wade protects life, while other people think it is an assault on women's rights, their health care, and their rights to make decisions about their own bodies. So some people think these changes are good. Some people think these changes are horrible. Now, those are just a couple of examples of some very serious and hotly debated issues. But you might be surprised to learn that sometimes we have trouble with changes that most of us here would consider no-brainers, life-giving, positive changes. And sometimes we still can't make the change. Some time ago, there was a study that came out which showed that within 2 years of having open heart surgery, that 90% of heart bypass surgery patients had not significantly altered their lifestyles. 90%, even though they knew they would die sooner rather than later without those changes. Why? Of course, some of us sitting here might say, well, if that were me, I'd make the changes right away. Maybe so, but we don't know until it's us. Now, do we? Well, regardless of whether we think change is positive or negative or neutral, the fact remains that change is not only coming, change is here. Change has always been here. Change is a fact of life, and it is not going anywhere. And when I talk about change, I want to be very clear and say that I'm not just talking about stuff going on in the world around us. I'm talking about inner change as well. And sometimes that can feel even more dramatic than outer change. So, two questions. Why do we fear or otherwise resist change? And two, how can we work on our relationship with change? So glad you asked. In his book, Reverend Brumet says that one of the deepest human needs is the need for meaning. And we use that meaning as a roadmap for our reality. Change comes, and sometimes it's very sudden change, and that just destroys our meaning. It can shatter the meaning that we've been holding, and our roadmaps are no longer viable. That puts us in unknown territory, and that gives rise to our fears of the unknown, which in turn give rise to fear and resistance of change, which in turn can result in some of our less than stellar responses to when change happens. Okay, so if Reverend Brumet is correct, how do we begin to address our relationship with change? I want to start with a quote from the Tao Te Ching. Life is a series of natural and spontaneous changes. Don't resist them. That only creates sorrow. Let reality be reality. Let things flow naturally forward in whatever way they like. Easier said than done. Buddhism agrees. Buddhism teaches that there's suffering in life. And the reason there's suffering in life is because of our attachments to things, to people, or to life just having to be a certain way. In unity and in New Thought circles, what do we say? What we resist, persists. My favorite quote, however, comes from Adam Markle. And the context for this quote comes from his college days when he was a lifeguard at one of his local beaches. Sometimes people would get caught up in one of those riptides, right? Riptides are very dangerous. And some of those folks would try to fight the riptide. They would try to swim against it. Not a good idea. Markle says that riptides are so powerful, most people wear out. And then the riptide just sucks them under. You survive a riptide, or your chances of survival improve if you just keep your head above water, lay back, and just float. Float along with the riptide, let it take you as far as it will. It eventually spits you out, or it releases you to the point where you can safely swim to shore. So you might be thinking, oh, float along. Go with the flow. That's nice. And I understand that. It's a nice saying. I like it. Oh, but his quote is so much better. Lifeguards call these deadly riptides the suck. So Markle borrowed a phrase from the U.S. Navy SEALs and his lifeguard buddies. And what Adam Markle says is when it comes to change, especially really challenging changes that really work us, he says, embrace the suck. Embrace the suck. Isn't that great? Sure, the Tao is beautiful, right? The teachings of Buddhism are great. The teachings of unity and New Thought, all those things I've shared are beautiful. But embrace the suck just kind of cuts through everything, doesn't it? It's just great. So by now, some of you may be sitting at home or in the sanctuary here, and you think, okay, really, that's all you've got? Embrace the suck? Are we that powerless? No, we're not. And first of all, I want to explain that when I say embrace the suck, I'm not saying we walk around saying it's all good in God's neighborhood. Because you know what? Sometimes it's not. Sometimes life is hard. Changes come and they come at us really fast and they overwhelm us and we don't know what to do about it. So feel what you feel. It's important to feel what you feel and appropriately, and I can't say this enough, appropriately express those feelings. If you're mad, be mad. Journal about it. Walk it off. Go out into the woods if you're near the woods and scream if you need to. It's okay. Appropriately let those feelings process because you know what? They're going to find a way out one day. And if we don't process our anger and our other stressful feelings appropriately, they're going to probably out themselves in some very negative ways. Feel what you feel. Because while we can't control every change in life transition, we do have the power to choose our responses. In unity, we teach that we are expressions of God, and as expressions of God, we have the law of divine order. That doesn't mean that everything is perfect all the time. It's, divine order is like the Trinity of unity. You know what the Trinity of unity is? Mind, thought, action. Divine order. There's a thought held in mind, and eventually that is going to respond. It's going to manifest. Mind, thought, and action. It's a way of saying that no matter how chaotic things may appear on the outside, somewhere in all of that mess, there is order somewhere. And not only is that a unity teaching, that is part of the premise of chaos theory in science. When things look random, there is a pattern of order somewhere. That sounds nice, a little bit scientific, very spiritual. And that's good. But in unity, we also call ourselves, we say we promote a practical and a positive spirituality, which means we try to give you some practical and positive tools to deal with things like life change. And here's one example. Reverend Brumet compares change, what we might call the process of transition, to one of his hobbies, whitewater rafting. Some of the most exciting parts of the journey can also be some of the most frightening and the most dangerous. To successfully navigate this journey, it's important that we know what we're doing, that we know where we are when it comes to change and transition. Where are we in the process? Because transition and change are both, it's a process, right? It's not a one-time deal there's a process that we all go through. Reverend Brumet breaks it down into 3 phases: endings, the void, and finally, new beginnings. Endings, the void, and finally, new beginnings. That's your setup. That's where we're headed over the next 3 weeks as we explore the journey of transition and life changes. And spoiler alert, while in unity, we do affirm divine order and that everything eventually does work out as it should, these particular phases I just mentioned aren't always neat and orderly, and they don't always behave. Go figure. So let's buckle up and let's get ready to embrace the suck. Unity style. And so it is.
Into thy hands I commit my spirit. Thy will is my will. Heal me at depth so that I may be one with Reveal that which needs to be revealed. Heal that which needs to be healed, so that I may be one with God.
So this morning, as we enter a time of meditation, I invite you to just put your feet solidly on the floor as you're comfortable. If you're comfortable, close your eyes, and if not, just hold a soft gaze. Maybe you want to hold your hands out in a position of reception. Just breathe, relax. Take a deep breath in, blow it out. And as you continue to breathe, I want to share just a bit about change, a little visualization. If you can, and if you're comfortable, I'd like you to think about being carried along on a current, floating along, and feels pretty good. But things change. And maybe right now, as you're floating along in the current of your life, there's stuff that's makes you feel like you're white water rafting instead without the raft. As you continue to move along, take a deep breath in. As you take that deep breath in, remember the words of our master teacher, Jesus. When addressing a storm, he said, "Peace, peace, be still." Jesus taught that for those who believe, we do the same, we can do the same things he did and even greater. We have the power to choose. We have the power to calm our storms. As you continue to breathe and relax, imagine coming out of that current, of coming out of that white water. You made it. Breathe in peace, bring in calm. Breathe it out. I encourage you to hear this truth and allow it to bring you peace and healing. When it comes to change, you've got this. You've got this because you are indeed an expression of God, filled with love and light. One more deep breath in. Allow it to calm you, bring you peace and healing. embrace your change, and be at peace. And so it is.
Into thy hand I commit my spirit. Thy will is my will. Heal me at death, so that I may be one with. Reveal that which needs to be revealed. Heal that which needs to be healed, so that I may be one with God.
Thank you, Neko, for providing this beautiful music for today's service, and Reverend Danny, thank you for that very profound talk and message. 6 weeks of classes, more to come. I guess you just touched the tip of the iceberg. So change. So look forward to that. Next week, the dynamic duo of Donnie and Danny will be back. So we can look forward to that. So now I'd like to invite you to contribute your financial love and support to the spiritual community that we call home. You may use your smartphone to text to give, or click on the donate on our website. See all the ways of giving on our slide that's presented. And of course, there's the traditional ways of donating through cash or checks. So whatever form it takes, it's appreciated. Every gift is very much appreciated and important for the functioning of this church. And the energy of your love and support, prayers and financial support are all very important. And this all helps us to carry Unity of Gainesville forward to make a difference in people's lives. So however you're making your gift, if you could just visualize that gift in your hands, hold it over your heart, and together we can set our intention for our giving as we say, divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I choose to give and all that I am open to receive. I give in love and receive in abundance. Thank you, God. I am so blessed. Now, Don will play some music while we continue to bring our gifts forward.
You're all around us in the rising sun. Hear the voices of children sing in unison. There's beauty all around us, far as you can see, like the stars that shine at twilight. There's a light in me. There's wonder all around us, no matter where you go. On the tops of mountains, in the vale below, there's beauty all around us, far as you can see, like the stars that shine at twilight. There's a light in me. everywhere around us. If we stop to see, all the world is full of wonder, all in harmony. There's wonder all around us, in a baby's cry, when we hear a mother sing a lullaby. There's beauty all around us, far as you can see, like the stars at twilight. There's a light in me. There's beauty all around, no matter where you go, from mountain tops to ocean side, where waves are crashing, hear that soothing sound, and see the wonder all around.
Wonder all around, indeed. The dynamic duo does it again. Thank you, Dr. Don Necco, Reverend Dr. Danny Spears. Joe's pitch without the book. It's wonderful. I've already started mine, picked it up at the bookstore. You won't be disappointed because, as we know, we're kind of all age amazing around here. The C word, Yahweh, Abba, Ema, sweet spirit of ease within, giving confidence as we find ourselves in transition, guiding us as we use life's changes for further spiritual awakening, focusing on the nature and necessity of change itself, assured by your presence, we move with ease and grace, grateful that wisdom, love, understanding, and strength live within. This is seen in these sacred, abundant tithes and gifts. Thank you. Thank you that we are age amazing, while actually knowing we are not really overcoming that, quote, the only constant is change. We avoid the sorrow of resisting, for what we resist persists. We feel what we feel and seek our oneness with God, helping us process endings, the void, and new beginnings, for there is beauty all around us. Finding ourselves in transition, we float along in the riptide and avoid the suck. Ashe.
I'd like to give a very special welcome to any first-time visitors with us today. Whether you're visiting virtually, online, welcome, or if you're here in the sanctuary with us for the first time today, if you wouldn't mind raising your hand, we have a visitor packet for you that will give you more information about the Unity movement and the Unity Church of Gainesville specifically. And if you have any other questions, you can perhaps chat with Reverend Danny after the service. I'm sure he'll have much more information to share with you and answer any questions. So There's also in that packet, there's a coupon for the New Journeys bookstore. If you fill out that information card, there's a 15% discount. So enjoy browsing the bookstore. Maybe you'll find something with special meaning for you there. So, as a continuation of Reverend Danny's intro today about change, starting this coming Wednesday, September 7th, and for 3 Wednesdays in September, 3 Wednesdays in October, we will be meeting at 6 p.m. Either you can attend virtually on Zoom or come to the sanctuary, and we'll have an in-house discussion along with our Zoom participants about Reverend Robert Brumet's book, Finding Yourself in Transition, as Reverend Danny and Dr. Rick had already mentioned. And Reverend Brumet informed us that he will probably make a virtual appearance on our final day of the class. So that's something else to look forward to, and save your questions up for the author directly. Sign-up sheets are at the bookstore, as well as copies of the book if you're interested in that. It's finally here, Saturday. Church picnic. Do you remember what you signed up for to bring? If not, check the sign-up sheet. And if you haven't RSVP'd, there's another sheet just for RSVPing. And we also have the list for your food contributions or your volunteer contributions. So check those lists out, and see you Saturday you can arrive as soon as 11 a.m. and leave whenever you feel like leaving or you get kicked out, whichever comes first. Just kidding. Okay. We're having the game. We're having Name That Baby. So if you have photographs of baby photos, find them, search them, ask friends or relatives if they have a picture of you. You can email them to Cindy Balkstra. If you need her address, Cindy's in the media booth. If you need her email address, talk to her after the service and let her know that you're going to be submitting a baby picture. That should be a lot of fun. It's like trying to imagine some of these beautiful faces as innocent little babies is going to be so cool. So, and guess who's who? Okay. I have Darlene. Oh, about the annual picnic. Darlene, if you could, Darlene's in charge of making sure all the ducks are in a row, and it seems like everything's going well. So, Darlene, do you have any other information for us that we need to know? Or name the baby prizes. Oh, cornrows happening. Good. Fun. Yeah, so if you want to meet at the church parking lot, perhaps, and consolidate kind of ride share, avoid paying the parking fees. So that's another option. Work it out with people you know. Check the RSVP list and catch a ride with somebody on that list. That's a good point. September 21st is the autumn equinox. We're going to celebrate that with Phyllis Winter is going to lead us in a drumming circle, which can be a very sacred ceremony and celebration of the changes that are coming up, and we can embrace them. So that will be Wednesday evening, September 21st at 6 p.m. So if you're interested in becoming a member of Unity of Gainesville, please see Reverend Danny or any board member for an information form. Just complete the form and return it to us. Doing so helps Reverend Danny schedule our membership classes as needed throughout the year. So if you're interested, we'll have a class. And if you have any questions about these announcements or want to know any more about Unity of Gainesville, you can just visit our website or call the church office. Ask anybody here for any other questions you might have as well. So now, if you feel comfortable doing so, please stand and we'll say the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is
Just one quick reminder, it's the first Sunday of the month. So after we say our benediction, hang out for a few minutes. We're going to sing happy birthday to all these September birthdays that are with us. So as we leave this place today, remember that changes come naturally and spontaneously. Do not resist them. That there is suffering in life due to our attachment. What we resist persists. And if you can't remember that, embrace the suck. And don't worry about that because you got this. We are indeed beautiful, beloved, and blessed. We are fine, fierce, and fabulous. If you don't believe us, just ask us. Amen. Amen.